speaking to the division finishing position stuff specifically, I wanted to gauge your opinion on this, because when you look at the AFC West, you have the Chiefs, who are, the year in, year out winner. It feels like they're an odds on -165 favorite to repeat at the top of the AFC West once again. But there are a few different ways I think that you could play this, because in my mind, the Chiefs are the best team in the division on paper, and the Raiders, where things sit right now, it makes sense why they're the numbers that they are, coming last in the division right now. And you question how much the health of Jimmy Garoppolo, and if he can stay on the field for the course of a 17-game season, how much that'll impact this team. So in my brain, the Chiefs finish first, the Raiders are going to finish last. And then in these finishing position markets, you have the ones that are on your screen, but you also have the exact orders where you can kind of lay them all out. You could bet Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders in that order, or Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders in that order, and still make a good profit, just getting creative with the way that you bet it. But what's your opinion, though? Do you think that could be potential, like, shaking out order for these teams?
Look, last year the Raiders had a chance to beat the Chargers in the opening game of the season, and I think Carr threw 3 interceptions, and then they beat them soundly in Las Vegas. They also played Denver twice, beat them twice, and they were not very good last year. Now they had a Chief game in Kansas City. They were close to winning that. Had a guy open on a fourth down call and they didn't throw it. They threw a deep pass and it went out of bounds. So to me, the Raiders are being disrespected because there's a perception out there that Jimmy Garoppolo is not as good as Derek Carr. That's just what it is, right? And there is complete evidence to say that Garoppolo has an inability to stay healthy. Fully understand that. But in terms of leading a team, in terms of bringing a team together, Garoppolo has those unique skills. And winning football games, Garoppolo has those unique skills. Now, people say, this all the time. I've heard Femi say this to me. Well, Kyle makes all the quarterbacks look good. Oh, really? Well, you're a 49er fan. How good did Nick Mullen look to you, Stormy?
Yeah, we know. We know during that stretch that when Jimmy G was out, it got ugly.
How did Brian Hoyer look to you? How has
Brian Hoyer ever looked, though? So let's be fair from that standpoint. But yes, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was the first. Yes, he was the first backup quarterback that made it work. Because Jimmy G, I agree with you. Jimmy G was important throughout that stretch. That's why we talk about, I know the joke is that wins shouldn't be a quarterback stat, but in my mind they are. And Jimmy G proved how valuable he was from a win-loss standpoint.
Right. So my point here is I think the Raiders will be better. I worry about their offensive line. I think Hunter Renfro's second year in the system certainly should benefit him. He was not the player they need him to be last year. Jacoby Myers to go along with Devontae Adams. If Josh Jacobs, they get him under contract, I think they will be an effective team now. They struggle up front. Chris Jones destroyed them in the Week 17 game, and that really put an end to their season in terms of ending it on a good note. Remember, this is a team that had San Francisco on the ropes in that game. Yeah. If you remember, with no defensive players at all.
That was
go
a
back
brutal
and watch
game.
That game.
I was watching that game on a plane, screaming at the top of my lungs, which probably wasn't welcomed on a plane. I was like a screaming baby.
That game made Jarrett Stidham $6 million.
Well, so
they moved the ball with them. So my point here is I think they're getting disrespected based on these. There's perceptions of Denver, and really there's always been perceptions of the Chargers.
My only issue with the Raiders at the quarterback position isn't Jimmy Garoppolo as a quarterback. I just question the longevity that he can have throughout the course of a season and being available because
that is fair.
Because
completely
the backup
fair.
Quarterback is Brian Hoyer, who I just said it's impossible to make that guy look good. Like it's him and Aiden O'Connell backing up Jimmy G, and so that's what concerns me for their success more than anything.
There's no question. Just like if Jordan Love isn't good, you're not going with Sean Clifford or Danny Effling, right? So yes, I get that completely. But to me, are you going to feel comfortable with at Denver to when they go to their backup quarterback? I don't think so. I don't think that'll be very effective. Jarrett Stidham played well last year for the Raiders in the one game. He didn't play well in the second game. And then, of course, you got the Chargers. We love the Chargers in the offseason. We really do. But, tell me who their backup quarterback is. And it's not Chase Daniels any longer.
So, Michael, as it pertains to this division then, because you clearly have belief in the Raiders, and I'm not saying that they're going to overshine the Kansas City Chiefs here, but as we look at these finishing
I'm not
positions,
saying that either.
It seems like you would err more on the side of them finishing second or third in the division than the odds-on favorite where they are at -130 to finish fourth.
Exactly right. Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would definitely. I like that plus 600 number finishing second because I think they will. I think the opening game against Denver, Vance Joseph and Josh McDaniels will battle it out. Sean Payton. I think the Raiders are improved defensively, which they needed to be. And if they sign Marcus Peters, I think at corner, if they're going to play zone and if they're going to do, I think that helps them. And if they get Crosby to play at his level, Chandler Jones and Tyree Wilson, who they drafted, he's healthy now. So I do think they're better. I just don't think there's this huge gap that's indicated in the numbers. And again, I'm not saying this because my sons work there. I'm saying this just because I'm a Garoppolo believer and have always been one. And I believe that if he's healthy, and I have the same concerns that you do about his durability, but he wins games and he makes other players play at a higher level.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.